After I suddenly suffered acute kidney failure, my girlfriend Lily Carter's best friend, Jason Miller, donated one of his kidneys to me. I used to always suspect there was something going on between them. After the surgery, Lily told me not to overthink it. If Jason and I were having an affair, we could have just waited for you to die. So why would he cut out a kidney for you? I thought what she said made sense. For 3 years, I worked multiple jobs to make money, all to repay Jason for saving my life. One weekend night, I came home early from work because of a high fever, only to hear Lily and Jason talking. My idea was pretty good, wasn't it? One fake report and one fake surgery not only delayed your wedding, but Ethan Carter also worked himself to death making money for us to spend. There's just one thing. If Ethan finds out, will he cause problems for you? The next second, Lily's indifferent voice came through. Cause problems about what? If he dares to cause problems, I'll dare to break up with him. Without me, who would ever be with him? I leaned against the door and made a phone call. You once said that if I was still single when I turned 28, you'd marry me. Does that promise still count? I did not want to listen anymore, so I opened the door and went inside. Jason was wearing my pajamas, and he tossed a set of car keys at me. The car is parked downstairs, so take it to the auto shop later for full service, then fill up the tank because I need the car tomorrow. Buy some snacks on your way back. You should know what we like, and pick up the packages from the mailroom while you're at it. After giving me a whole string of instructions, Jason did not say a single thank you. My face was flushed from the fever, and my movements were slow. Jason frowned impatiently. Are you deaf or something? Hurry up and go. His car was a top-trim new BMW 4 Series, and I bought it. Because of my work needs, I only had an old car worth a little over $30,000 that had no idea how many previous owners. I forced myself to stay alert and open my mouth to explain. I'm sick, and I really don't have the strength. Jason rudely interrupted me. What kind of attitude is that? Is this how you treat the person who saved your life? If I'd known, I never should have donated a kidney to you back then. You're nothing but an ungrateful bastard. An ungrateful bastard? I looked at Jason. To repay his kindness, I had eaten cheap meals that cost only a few dollars. I wore old clothes from 5 or 6 years ago. Every purchase over $50 broke my heart. And every cent I saved went to Jason. He was a scammer who had taken every advantage possible, yet he was calling me ungrateful? All right, stop arguing. Lily took out the medicine kit, found a box of ibuprofen and a fever patch, and placed them in my palm. A faint trace of warmth had just risen in my heart. The next second, Lily said to me, Ethan, go apologize to Jason. He saved your life, and people can't forget where they came from. It felt like a huge ball of cotton had blocked my chest, sour and swollen. Things like this had happened countless times over these 3 years. Because Jason had donated a kidney to me. No matter what conditions he proposed, I was supposed to agree unconditionally. If I was slow to respond or refused, Lily would demand that I apologize. My body was on the verge of collapse, and at that moment, I just wanted to end this farce and rest for a while. I faced Jason. I am sorry. Unexpectedly, Jason had no intention of letting me off. Go cook me a meal, and I'll forgive you. What? You don't want to? Lily frowned and was just about to speak. Fine. Dragging my body through the intense discomfort, I prepared dinner. In the living room, Lily was playing video games with Jason, and their laughter never stopped. An hour later, I brought out the dishes I had cooked. Unexpectedly, there were empty takeout boxes on the dining table. You cooked too slowly. Jason hasn't been in good health since the surgery, and he can't go hungry. Lily explained. I saved you some onion rings, so eat with us. I placed the dishes on the table. No need. The moment I turned around, Lily grabbed my wrist. Are you still mad? I moved her hand away and said calmly, I'm allergic to onions. Lily froze and wanted to explain something. Jason's shout came from the living room, and Lily left me behind again and walked away. My nose suddenly stung, and a sense of helplessness spread through my whole body. It seemed my 6 years of sincerity had earned me nothing. I should have been sad, but at that moment, I didn't even have the energy to feel sad. Dragging my burning body, I opened the bedroom door and I froze. The wedding photo of Lily and me that had originally been hanging on the wall had now become a couple's portrait of Lily and Jason. Their hands were clasped together as they looked into each other's eyes, smiling with pure happiness. My photos, clothes, daily necessities, and all my belongings had all been replaced with new ones. I turned and went to the living room, looking at the two people fooling around on the couch. What happened to my room? Jason did not even lift his head. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm staying in this room now. Lily said, Jason hasn't been feeling well lately, so he took annual leave from the hospital. I simply had to move in with us for a while. I'm a doctor, so it's convenient for me to take care of him. I only wanted to rest, so I asked, "Then where do I sleep?" There were only 2 bedrooms. Lily and I were not legally married, so we each had our own room. Jason clicked his tongue impatiently. "Isn't there still that little room? You can sleep there." Jason pointed toward the storage room. I turned my head to look. The storage room door was wide open. All my things had been messily dragged out and casually thrown on the floor. Jason's chihuahua was holding my figurine in its mouth. But I was exhausted, and my body could no longer support another argument. I closed the door, curled up on a narrow, folding bed, and fell asleep almost instantly. In the second half of the night, my body began switching between chills and fever. 1 second, it felt like I was being roasted over fire. And the next second, I was thrown into an ice cave. I opened my mouth to call for help, but my dry throat could barely make a sound. I struggled to feel around for my phone in the darkness, only to realize I had forgotten to charge it after coming home. Now it had long since shut off. My consciousness drifted in and out, and I suddenly heard sounds from the living room. Then the door was suddenly opened. Jason chased his dog inside. "We're going out a bit, so remember to walk Coco for me." Jason's dog was named Coco. I did not react. "Stop playing dead." Jason walked in impatiently and kicked me as I lay on the floor. Seeing my rapid breathing and pale face, a sly look flashed in Jason's eyes. "Jason, is Ethan having breakfast?" Lily, who had prepared breakfast but still had not seen me come out, ran over and asked. Jason shifted sideways and completely blocked me from view. "Yeah, I just asked him. He said he's tired and wants to sleep a little longer." "Oh, I see." Lily did not suspect anything. "Then I'll leave breakfast on the table. I bought your favorite milk and sandwich today, so remember to drink the warm milk after you wake up. You have stomach problems, so you're not allowed to eat anything cold." After Lily left, Jason glanced at me smugly and followed her out. The door was slammed shut, and the room fell into darkness. One glance, if Lily had looked just one more time, she would have seen my deathly pale face. But she did not. She had always been like this with me. She would ask a few questions, but she would never take care of me as meticulously as she took care of Jason. After less than a while, the two of them finished breakfast and left home, and all sound disappeared. Who knew how much longer passed before my consciousness drifted in and out again, and I seemed to hear Jason's dog crazily scratching at the door. When I woke up again, I was lying in a hospital bed with an 4 drip. I remembered that after I heard the dog scratching the door, I used my last shred of strength to open the front door. The last thing I saw before fainting on the floor was my neighbor running toward me in a panic. After staying in the hospital for 24 hours of observation and my vitals stabilized, I only returned home at noon the next day. I plugged in my phone to charge. After being unreachable for a day and a half, many close friends had sent messages of concern. But Lily's chat box was completely empty. The last conversation was me asking Lily when we would get married. She had not replied. I opened her ins and found that she had updated 3 posts related to Jason in one day. While I was sick, Lily had stayed out all night with Jason, watching the stars on a mountaintop. I closed my eyes and sent a message. "Lily, let's break up." 20 minutes later, Lily called me. "What? Try a new trick this time?" My mind went blank for a moment, and I did not know what she meant. Lily's tone was irritated. "You're using a breakup to manipulate me and force me to marry you. Ethan Carter, you're 28, not 18. Can you grow up a little?" I let out a self-mocking laugh. "If you don't want to marry me, then we'll break up and I'll marry someone else. Is there a problem?" Lily froze, then scoffed. "Marry someone else? Who would be with you except me? Stop saying things you don't mean. Can you really bear to leave me? Wait obediently at home, and Jason and I will come back this afternoon." After saying that, she hung up. Near dusk, Lily and Jason came back. They saw their things packed in big and small bags piled at the door. Lily was extremely surprised. Then she found that her fingerprint no longer worked, and she could not open the door. Lily called me to question me. "What is wrong with you?" My tone was flat. "I put both of your things at the door, and from now on, we have nothing to do with each other." Jason, beside her, frowned and cursed me for being ungrateful. I hung up directly. Lily sneered. "Fine, you brought this on yourself." After Lily and Jason left, I started cleaning up the apartment, and I'd already contacted a realtor to list the place in a few days. Early the next morning, my phone began vibrating nonstop. It was a call from my dad. After the call connected, my dad's furious roar came through. "Ethan Carter, is it true that you broke up with Lily? You even kicked Jason out? Do you have any conscience at all?" My dad scolded me without letting me get a word in. "In my life, I hate ungrateful people the most. From today on, you are not my son. No, Dad, listen to me explain. The sound of something heavy falling came from the other end of the line, followed by my mom's helpless sobs. Your dad fainted. What do we do? I heard they took a cab home. During that time, my mom told me that my dad had been sent to the hospital by kind neighbors. I had barely breathed a sigh of relief when my mom said my dad's heart condition had relapsed and he needed $80,000 to save his life. I immediately opened my phone to transfer money to my mom, but my account showed insufficient balance. I tried again, and it still showed insufficient balance. After checking, I discovered that last night, while I was asleep, there had been two expenses, one for $60,000 and one for $70,000. In order to repay Jason before, I had once told him the password to my account. I was afraid he was the one who had taken the money. I tried to contact Jason. The call would not go through. Only on the 20th attempt did Jason answer the phone. Jason, give me back my money. What's the rush? Jason spoke slowly and leisurely. Have you realized your mistake? At that moment, I only wanted to get the money to save my dad's life, and I did not care about anything else. I'm sorry I was wrong. Hurry and give me the money. This is life-saving money. Jason did not believe me and still spoke at an unhurried pace. Tell me exactly what you did wrong, and I'll give you the money. I shouldn't have kicked you out of the house, and I'm truly sorry. Jason was satisfied. Not bad. Now transfer the money over quickly. Jason laughed. I'd like to give it to you too. Unfortunately, the money is gone. I almost lost my mind and shouted on the street. What did you spend the money on? This is the money to save my dad's life. I asked my colleague about your dad's condition, and it has always been very stable. So how could something happen so easily? Lily took the phone. I even spoke to him on the phone this morning, and he was perfectly fine. Coco got frightened yesterday, and we're going to the pet hospital now. So I'm not talking to you anymore. My vision went black. I almost fainted. My dad was in critical condition and urgently needed money. Yet you took my money to treat a dog? 3 days after I borrowed money to pay for my dad's surgery, my dad was transferred from the ICU to a regular ward. Only then did Lily's call finally come late. I didn't know your dad's mental endurance was that bad, and Jason only complained about you a little before your dad fell ill. I've already transferred back the money I took from you. Jason hasn't been feeling well lately, so I have to take care of him, and I'll come visit your dad another day. There was not a single apology from start to finish, and she pushed the blame onto me again. She still believed that I, and even my family, would be like we had been for the past 3 years, swallowing every grievance and tolerating everything Jason did. By the way, Lily changed the subject, her tone full of disgust. Didn't I tell you that I don't want to get married this early? So what do you mean by posting on ins that the wedding is this week? Ethan Carter, is there nothing in your head besides marriage and forcing me to marry you? She warned me. Hurry up and delete the ins post, then make a statement saying you were just joking. Otherwise, if there's no bride at your wedding next week, I won't be the one embarrassed. Jason's voice came from the other end of the phone. Lily, I feel a little uncomfortable. The call was abruptly hung up. What are you doing? A gentle female voice sounded, and a girl in a white dress leaned close to me and looked over curiously. Nothing. A stranger dialed the wrong number. I put my phone back in my pocket and reached out to wrap an arm around the girl's shoulders. The wedding will be held in a while, so let's go pick out diamond rings. Okay. The girl held my arm, her smile sweet. After buying the rings, I took a photo and posted it on ins. 2 beautifully cut diamond rings, one large and one small, lay quietly in a black velvet box. The colorful light glittering on the surface of the diamonds proved they were worth a fortune. The comment section was full of blessings. You're finally getting married. My wedding gift is ready. Congratulations. Jason forwarded the photo of the rings to Lily. Lily, what does Ethan mean by this? He's forcing you into marriage. Are you going to agree to him? Lily's gaze softened for a moment, but in the end, she scoffed. How could I possibly agree to him? He ignored my opinion and made such a huge spectacle. All just to make me compromise, right? Does he really think he's that important? I absolutely won't go. As the two of them were talking, I updated my wedding planning sketches and venue again. Lily could not help clicking into it. It was the best hotel in the city, and anyone could see the wedding would not be small. In the plans, a red carpet covered the floor, surrounded by clusters of flowers. A refined and romantic atmosphere came through at a glance. The grander and more solemn the wedding before her eyes looked, the tighter Lily's brows furrowed. There was a hint of an unclear wavering in her tone. On one hand, she thought, I can't indulge Ethan's bad habits, and I have to teach him a lesson. Then she also thought, he arranged everything so openly and extravagantly, and if I don't go, he'll cry, won't he? She flipped through the photos one by one until she reached a photo of me. In a live photo, I, who was usually so unsmiling I could almost be called rigid, had a smile at the corners of my mouth that I could not suppress at all. She murmured to herself, "So he's as happy to marry me?" Lily was completely shaken. Jason panicked and asked, "Lily, are you going to find Ethan?" Lily nodded. "I'll give in this once. We'll have to get married sooner or later anyway, so there's no need to make things too ugly." But in the next instant, Jason let out a scream. He clutched his left flank, collapsing onto the Persian rug I had bought him, his face twisted in dramatic agony. "Lily, it hurts," Jason groaned, rolling on the floor and gasping for breath. "The scar. It feels like my remaining kidney is giving out. Ever since I gave half my life to Ethan, my body has never been the same. If you leave now, what if I collapse alone?" Lily's heart seized. All her haughty thoughts about generously giving in to me vanished in a thin air. She dropped her purse, fell to her knees beside Jason, and cradled his head in her lap with frantic tenderness. "Jason, hold on. Take deep breaths. I'm a doctor. I'm right here." Lily glared toward the doorway, as if I were standing there personally tormenting them. "Look at what Ethan has done. If he hadn't caused all this drama, your surgical trauma wouldn't have flared up." She helped Jason onto the sofa, completely forgetting her plan to rush over to my wedding venue. She fetched water, massaged his chest, and spent the entire afternoon catering to his every whim. Jason, leaning comfortably against the cushions, flashed a covert, victorious smirk whenever Lily turned her back. He didn't want Lily to marry me, not because he truly loved her, but because as long as Lily stringed me along under the pretense of saving my life, I was an endless cash cow. If Lily actually married me, financial boundaries would solidify, and his days of receiving free luxury cars, designer clothes, and hundreds of thousands in repayment would come to an end. Lily sent me one final text late that night. "Ethan, Jason's surgical complications are acting up because of the stress you caused. You almost killed the man who gave you a kidney. I was going to give you a chance and show up at your childish little venue, but your selfish behavior has utterly disgusted me. If you want this wedding to happen, come to the apartment right now, kneel down, apologize to Jason, and pay for his medical treatment. Otherwise, don't blame me for leaving you stranded at the altar tomorrow." I looked at the message glowing on my phone screen, sat back in the leather chair of my new office, and simply blocked her number. Beside me, Clara Vance set down a porcelain cup of steaming black tea. She leaned over my shoulder, catching the briefest glimpse of the text before the screen went dark. "Is that her?" Clara asked, her voice calm and melodious, carrying the sharp clarity of an elite corporate attorney who had spent the last 5 years conquering the legal sector in Chicago. "Yes," I replied, exhaling a long breath that seemed to carry away the residual chill of the past 6 years. "She thinks she's holding all the cards." Clara smiled, a radiant, confident curve of her lips that made the dim room feel suddenly bright. She smoothed the lapel of my tailored bespoke suit with her slender fingers. "Let her think that," Clara whispered softly. "The higher she climbs on her pedestal of arrogance, the harder she'll hit the concrete when the floor drops out." 10 years ago, before I ever met Lily Carter, Clara Vance was the brightest star in my youth. We grew up on the same tree-lined street, studied at the same desks, and shared every childhood dream. When Clara went abroad to pursue her master's and law degrees, we made a half-joking, half-serious pact on the airport tarmac. If we both reached 28 without finding our forever, we would marry each other. I met Lily during my second year of graduate school. Back then, she played the role of a gentle, studious medical student, and I fell hard for her quiet charm. For 6 years, I poured every ounce of my soul into that relationship. When a supposed acute kidney failure struck 3 years ago, I was terrified, not of death, but of leaving Lily behind. When Jason Miller stepped forward claiming to be a compatible donor, I wept with gratitude. I believed I owed him my breath, my heartbeat, and every dime I would ever earn. I bought him a top-tier BMW, gave him free reign over my bank accounts, endured his arrogance, and allowed Lily to treat me like a second-class citizen in my own home. All because of a debt of blood and flesh. Except it was all a filthy, engineered lie. The moment I overheard them whispering behind that bedroom door, the fog cleared from my eyes. While I was in the hospital recovering from the fever Jason had neglected, I didn't just lie there crying. I called Clara. Clara took the next flight into the city. Within 48 hours, using her top-tier investigative network and legal authority, she helped me pull my complete medical history from St. Jude's Memorial, the private clinic where Jason's uncle was the head administrator and where my nephrectomy had taken place. The results of my independent ultrasound and forensic medical exam were indisputable. Both of my native kidneys were intact, fully functional, and had never been touched by a scalpel. The 15-centimeter scar on my lower abdomen, a superficial cutaneous incision performed under general anesthesia, while I was kept sedated, treated with medical-grade scarring agents to look like a deep surgical wound. And Jason? His medical file showed he had never undergone any major surgery in his life. The scar he frequently showed off was from a cosmetic procedure removing a benign lipoma when he was 20. They had drugged me, cut into my skin, handed me a falsified pathology report, and turned me into their domestic slave and financial bank for 3 whole years. Over those 3 years, I had transferred over $420,000 to Jason in recovery stipends, paid the $85,000 down payment on his BMW, handed over rent for their luxury lifestyle, and nearly let my own father die on an operating table because they stole $130,000 from my emergency account to pamper a toy dog. "Everything is ready," Clara said, handing me a thick, blue legal dossier stamped with the seal of the district attorney's office and the state medical board. The police fraud division, the medical malpractice committee, and every major journalist in the medical sector will be seated in the banquet hall tomorrow. "The stage is set, Ethan." I took Clara's hand, feeling the genuine warmth of someone who had crossed an ocean the second I called. "Thank you, Clara." "Don't thank me yet," she chuckled softly, her eyes twinkling. "You still have to marry me tomorrow in front of 500 people. That," I said, looking into her clear, honest eyes, "is the easiest decision of my life." The morning of the wedding, the Grand St. Regis ballroom was adorned in white calla lilies, champagne silk drapes, and crystal chandeliers. Outside the grand double doors, a sleek white Audi pulled up to the curb. Lily stepped out, wearing an off-the-rack white evening dress she had picked up at the mall that morning. Her hair was casually pinned up, her expression dripping with condescending pride. Behind her, Jason walked at a leisurely pace, wearing an expensive suit I had bought him, adjusting his diamond cufflinks with an amused smirk. "I told you wouldn't dare cancel," Jason sneered, looking up at the hotel's massive LED billboard displaying Carter Wedding Celebration. "The pathetic loser booked the most expensive venue in the city just to force you to show up. He probably spent every cent he had left." "Let him," Lily said coldly, crossing her arms. "He needs to learn his place. I'll walk in right when the music starts, take the microphone, and tell everyone that the wedding is postponed until he pays you another $50,000 for your emotional distress. If he doesn't kneel and beg in front of all these guests, I'll walk right out and let him become the laughingstock of the high society circle. Make sure he buys me that new Rolex we looked at yesterday, too." Jason laughed. "After all, I suffered a relapse because of him." "Don't worry," Lily said with absolute confidence. "Ethan has no backbone. He can't live without me." With that, Lily pushed the heavy oak doors open and strode down the red carpet. The ballroom was packed. Dozens of tables were filled with prominent figures: senior medical professors, hospital directors, city officials, and mutual acquaintances from our university days. Lily walked down the carpet with her chin held high, waiting for the crowd to gasp at her arrival, waiting for the spotlight to hit her face, waiting for me to break down in tears of relief at the altar. "Ethan!" Lily's sharp voice echoed across the hall, interrupting the soft violin melody. "You can stop this circus now. I'm here. I told you, if you want me to marry you, you need to." Her voice abruptly died in her throat. Standing at the altar under the cascading floral arch was not an anxious, desperate man waiting for his savior. I stood tall in a charcoal black tuxedo, my posture straight, my eyes calm and unyielding. And standing right beside me, with her arm gracefully linked through mine, was Clara Vance. Clara wore a custom-designed silk organza bridal gown embroidered with thousands of micro-pearls. A delicate veil framed her breathtakingly sharp, elegant features. Her presence was regal, commanding, and so undeniably stunning that the entire hall seemed to fade into a blur behind her. Lily's eyes widened in sheer disbelief. She looked from Clara's exquisite gown to the giant screen behind the stage, which clearly displayed the names in gold calligraphy: Ethan Carter and Clara Vance. What is this?" Lily stumbled forward, her voice rising an octave into a shrill screech. "Ethan, what kind of cheap trick are you pulling? Who is this woman? Did you hire an actress to make me jealous?" The guests murmured, turning their heads toward Lily in disgust and curiosity. Jason rushed up from behind, his face darkening as he pointed an accusing finger at me. "Ethan Carter, are you insane? Lily did you the greatest favor of her life by showing up here today after you treated her so terribly. How dare you humiliate her with some cheap rental bride? I didn't flinch. I didn't raise my voice. I took a step forward, looking down from the elevated stage at the two parasites who had drained my life for 3 years. Lily Carter, I said, my voice projecting clearly through the lapel mic. You said on the phone that without you, no one in the world would ever marry me. I think you severely overestimated your worth. Ethan, Lily's face turned crimson with rage and humiliation. You ungrateful scumbag. Have you forgotten who saved your life? Have you forgotten whose kidney is keeping you alive right now? Jason sacrificed his health for you, and I sacrificed 3 years of my youth nursing you back from the grave. And this is how you repay us? By staging a fake wedding with a stranger. A low murmur rippled through the guests. Several older doctors in the audience frowned, whispering among themselves about this sacrificial kidney donor. Jason seized the moment, playing the victim with practiced ease. He clutched his flank again, staggering as if overwhelmed by pain and grief. Everyone look at him. I gave this man a piece of my own flesh. I gave him my kidney, and now he kicks me out of his home, refuses to pay for my medication, and insults the woman who loved him. Is there any justice left in this world? Justice? Clara took a step forward. She let out a soft, chilling laugh that cut through Jason's theatrical cries like a razor blade. I'm glad you brought up justice, Mr. Miller, Clara said calmly. She raised a wireless presenter remote in her right hand and clicked the central button. Because justice is exactly why we invited the district attorney, the state medical licensing board, and 24 officers from the financial crimes unit here today. Click. The giant LED screen behind the altar instantly flickered. The romantic wedding montage vanished. In its place, a high-definition audio-visual file began to play, filling the ballroom with crystalline surround sound. The voice that echoed throughout the hall was unmistakably Jason Miller's, captured from that weekend night in my living room. My idea was pretty good, wasn't it? One fake report and one fake surgery not only delayed your wedding, but Ethan Carter also worked himself to death making money for us to spend. There's just one thing. If Ethan finds out, will he cause problems for you? Then came Lily's cold, contemptuous laughter. Cause problems about what? If he dares to cause problems, I'll dare to break up with him. Without me, who would ever be with him? The entire ballroom plunged into dead, suffocating silence. Lily's face turned as white as sheet paper. She froze on the carpet, her mouth slightly open, her eyes dilated in sheer terror. No, that's an AI deepfake. It's fabricated. Lily screamed frantically, waving her hands. Don't believe it. It's a lie. Click. Clara pressed the remote again. A massive medical forensic report from the Central Forensic Institute appeared on the screen, signed by 3 of the nation's most renowned nephrologists, 2 of whom were currently sitting at table 1. Patient evaluation, Ethan Carter. Result, bilateral kidneys present, normal anatomical morphology, intact vascular supply. 0 surgical intervention detected on renal structures. Abdominal scar analysis, superficial dermal incision, depth 0.4 centimeters, non-invasive. Subject evaluation, Jason Miller. Result, bilateral kidneys fully intact. 0 prior nephrectomy procedures. Medical record verified. A loud gasp erupted from table 1. Dr. Harrison, the head of the state's surgical board and Lily's former mentor at the university hospital, stood up abruptly, his face contorted in absolute fury. Lily Carter, Dr. Harrison roared, his voice trembling with outrage. You fabricated a nephrectomy? You performed an illegal, non-consensual surgical incision on a healthy civilian to stage a fake organ transplant? You violated every single clause of the Hippocratic Oath. No, Professor Harrison, listen to me. Lily began shaking uncontrollably, backing away toward the exit. It wasn't me. It was Jason's idea. Jason planned it all. Lily, you bitch. Jason screamed, panicking as he saw the guests pulling out their phones to record every second. You were the licensed resident who forged the pathology charts. You signed the surgical anesthesia records. You stole the hospital's medication. Click. Clara pressed the button a 3rd time. A detailed financial ledger unfolded across the screen, tracking every single transaction over the past 3 years. $420,000 in direct bank transfers from Ethan Carter to Jason Miller. $85,000 for a BMW 4 Series, registered under Jason Miller, paid via Ethan Carter's credit line. $130,000 stolen directly from Ethan Carter's emergency account while his father lay dying in the ICU, transferred directly to Jason Miller's personal checking account for luxury, pet boarding, and designer watches. Over $600,000 extorted under false medical pretenses. Clara's voice was as cold as iron. Class of grand larceny, criminal medical malpractice, unlawful bodily harm, and intentional infliction of emotional distress, resulting in near-fatal medical negligence. The heavy oak double doors of the ballroom slammed open once more. 6 uniformed police officers and 4 investigators from the State Medical Board marched down the aisle, their badges flashing under the crystal chandeliers. Lily Carter, Jason Miller, the lead investigator, announced, unhooking 2 pairs of steel handcuffs from his belt. You're officially under arrest for grand fraud, medical malpractice, and aggravated assault. You have the right to remain silent. Jason turned to sprint toward the emergency exit, but 2 officers tackled him directly onto the floral carpet. The man who had spent 3 years boasting about his fragile, post-surgical body screamed like a slaughtered pig as his arms were wrenched behind his back and cuffed. Ethan, Ethan, please. Lily fell to her knees as an officer pulled her wrists together. The cold steel snapped shut around her delicate wrists. Tears of pure horror washed away her makeup, streaking her face in gray lines. I was wrong. I was blind. I was manipulated by Jason. I still love you, Ethan. We spent 6 years together. You can't do this to me. I walked down the steps of the altar, stopping 2 feet away from her. I looked at the woman I had once loved with everything I possessed. In her eyes, I didn't see remorse for what she had done to me. I only saw the sheer terror of losing her medical career, her social status, and her freedom. 3 days ago, I said, my voice steady and quiet, my father was dying in the ICU, needing $80,000 for surgery. You took my money to pamper a dog and told me his heart condition wasn't your problem. Lily choked on a sob, her lips trembling. You told me that without you, no one would ever want me. I continued, reaching out to gently take Clara's hand as she stood beside me. You were wrong. Without you, I finally got my life back. Take them away, I told the officers. As Lily was dragged out of the grand ballroom in handcuffs, screaming my name through racking sobs, not a single person in the 500-seat venue looked at her with pity. The heavy doors closed, shutting out their screams forever. The violinists resumed their melody. The soft, elegant notes filled the hall once more. Clara turned to me, her veil catching the warm amber light of the chandeliers, her smile soft and reassuring. Where were we, Mr. Carter? She asked gently. I smiled, feeling a weight that had crushed my chest for 3 long years evaporate into nothingness. Exchanging our vows, I said. In the months that followed, the justice system moved with brutal, unrelenting efficiency. The evidence compiled by Clara Vance and her legal team left zero room for defense. The dirty clinic administrator, Jason's uncle, was stripped of his administrative license, his clinic was shut down, and he faced federal charges for operating an illegal medical fraud ring. Jason Miller was sentenced to 8 years in a maximum security state penitentiary for grand larceny, criminal conspiracy, and wire fraud. Every asset he possessed, including the BMW 4 Series, his designer wardrobe, and the money in his bank accounts, was seized by the court and returned to me as restitution. Left with millions in civil damages and a criminal record, he would spend the rest of his youth behind bars. Lily Carter's fate was equally absolute. The State Medical Board permanently revoked her medical license, barring her from ever practicing medicine, nursing, or healthcare administration in the country. She was sentenced to 4 years in prison for medical malpractice and reckless endangerment. Her family, humiliated by the national scandal that plastered her face across every medical journal and news outlet, completely disowned her. 6 months after the wedding, my father's health had completely recovered. With the restitution money returned and my career thriving under Clara's encouragement, we bought a sunlit home overlooking the bay. One rainy autumn afternoon, as I walked out of my firm's corporate headquarters holding an umbrella, I saw a disheveled figure standing across the street in the freezing rain. It was Lily. She had been released on early medical probation due to overcrowding, but she was unrecognizable. Her once pristine coats were replaced by a stained, threadbare jacket. Her hair was greasy and unkempt, her face hollow and pale. She worked as an hourly cleaner at a local diner, shunned by everyone who knew her past. She saw me, her eyes lighting up with a pathetic, desperate spark of hope. She ran across the puddle-strewn pavement, stopping just short of my umbrella. Ethan, she croaked, shivering uncontrollably in the biting wind. Ethan, please, just give me 5 minutes. I don't have anywhere to go. No one will hire me. My parents won't answer my calls. I know I ruined everything, but if you give me a second chance, I'll be your maid. I'll do anything. A sleek black Maybach pulled up smoothly to the curb beside us. The rear window slid down. Clara looked out, her expression composed and serene, holding a warm cashmere scarf in her hands. "Ethan, honey," Clara called softly, her voice full of warmth. "Dad and Mom are waiting at the restaurant. We shouldn't keep them waiting." "Coming," I replied. I didn't spare Lily a single glance. I stepped around her, as if she were nothing more than a puddle of dirty rainwater on the sidewalk, opened the car door, and sat down beside my wife. As the car pulled away, I caught a final glimpse in the rearview mirror. Lily stood alone in the downpour, collapsing on her knees on the cold, unforgiving asphalt, burying her face in her hands as the rain washed over her ruined life. I rolled up the window, took Clara's warm hand in mine, and drove forward into the bright, clear future ahead.